miles. Follow them on Facebook at facebook.com/Twin City Minis to see where the food truck will pop up next. When you think of the best burger sliders in the Triad, think Twin City Minis.
Hey, Jake from State Farm.
We have to know.
Yeah, there's a State Farm pajamas.
No, what if we have to talk to somebody about our policy, but it's late at night?
Call us 24/7.
Great. Because what if someone still calls his mom for everything?
We'll walk you through everything. At State Farm, we're there for your what ifs.
Oh, yeah, Mom, everything's great. Yeah. I mean, not my mom.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
When you want the real deal, call Susanna Nunn in Kernersville today. When you combine soul food with comfort food, you get Taste of the Triad. For great Southern cooking that tastes like a slice of heaven, come by Taste of the Triad, 4320 Old Walkertown Road in Winston-Salem. Owner Sabrina Wingo and staff treat you like family and are able to take care of all of your catering needs and private parties. Recently selected as one of the most accomplished restaurants in the Triad area, have Sunday dinner any day of the week at Taste of the Triad, 4320 Old Walkertown Road in Winston-Salem. Attention pizza lovers in the Triad. Are you ready for a taste sensation that will blow your mind? Look no further than Ledo Pizza, where flavor and value collide. For a limited time, Ledo Pizza in Kernersville is serving up hot and fresh deals that you just can't resist. Monday special, get a calzone or a stromboli for only $5. On Tuesday, get a spaghetti entree dish for only $5. On Wednesday, kids eat free with a paying adult. Ledo Pizza, your next guilty pleasure. 220 Market View Drive in Kernersville. Call and place that order right now at 336-993-5336. You are listening to North Carolina A&T football on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
It's the Blue and Gold postgame show here, presented, of course, by Ledo Pizza of Kernersville. Daily lunch deals, pizzas, salad subs, and more right off Salem Parkway at 220 Market View Drive in Kernersville. Ledo Pizza, worth the drive, along with Al Swann, Billy Covington, Donal Ware with you. Another tough loss by North Carolina A&T to Richmond, 33-10. Remember, put your comment or your question in the chat, and we'll read it. We already got one off the bat. Steve says those back-to-back picks were wild, and that, to say the least, Steve, and really put A&T out of the ball game.
But, Don, we said earlier, sometimes with a freshman quarterback, you don't know what you're going to get, man, and so we saw an example today. Of course, White made a great run, but that interception that he threw, he just threw the ball up in the air in the middle of the field. And, of course, his replacement, Eric Brickhandler, unfortunate for him that his initial snap was from the 5-yard line. And, of course, he threw it up in the middle of the field for interception that was returned for a touchdown. But it's just a tough situation for A&T. I was watching the A&T team as they left the field after the game down, and as you can imagine, they were pretty dejected. I mean, they were, as we used to say in the old days, their dauber was really down. And, it's going to be a tough task for the coaching staff to get in there and get them ready to play next week.
Now, Al, you have been in this position of all the years that you have coached. What does the coaching staff tell the kids when they're getting beat the way they did today?
Well, one of the things you can't do as a coach, Billy, you can't lose your enthusiasm.
Okay.
Because if you can lose your enthusiasm, the kids are going to think that your players are going to think that you've given up on them. Mm-hmm. And that's the last thing you want them to do. So you got to maintain your enthusiasm and just find something positive if you can, to to build on. But again, the big thing is, as a coach, as a coaching staff, don't lose your enthusiasm. Don't let your players think that you've given up on them, and find something that you can hopefully build on.
Galen says the team is totally undisciplined. They make the dumbest mistakes I've ever seen. Come on, coach, this is inexcusable. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, well, anyway, Greg says got to look at the portal for a vet quarterback. Jeff says we need a quarterback whisperer. Billy says at this rate, might as well give Hooker a shot. Leander says our quarterback play is simply not good. Hans says it's going to come together, get these guys in the weight room with a legit strength and conditioning coach and nutrition program, commit to defining the offensive scheme and recruit local talent. So
that's a good point. I mean, I watched in terms of local talent, I watched the high school game last night, Grimsley, and boy, they have they have the top team in the state. And now, how many of those players can we get to commit? Because a couple of them are going to, big time schools. So, but the Aggies are going to need a couple of recruiting classes to, I think, be competitive in the CAA.
47 offensive plays for A&T, only 145 yards, and the staple of A&T all year has been the running game. And, I mean, obviously the running game was non-existent, but a lot of that really had to do with Richmond is a legit a run defense first. And you would have thought there would have been some opportunities for the A&T in the passing game, but again, the quarterback play just wasn't up to par today.
And it seems at times as though the quarterback and the receivers are not on the same page. And what I mean by that, a couple of times I saw that when White would get set to throw, and the receivers were still running their patterns. And, of course, we saw just the opposite of that the first time Richmond, the quarterback and their receivers they were right on the same page. And so we didn't see that a lot against A&T. We saw, of course, when A&T went to that short passing game, they had some success with that, but they just didn't stay with it. And of course, when you make those timely interceptions, it just really hurts everything. It just throws everything into chaos.
62 plays for Richmond, 257 yards. It again speaks to how good that defense was. Once again, I asked Coach Brown about it being a bend but don't break. He said he wouldn't characterize it that way. But, I mean, in essence, that's the way that this defense has been playing. But I don't even think it was bend but don't break today. It was just good defense
Good defense,
today.
yeah. I mean, we mentioned this a couple of times this year, Donal, that they can't blame the defense. And I have got to give the defense some credit because they play a lot of plays, but they play hard. They don't give up. They play every play to the whistle. And, I mean, that's hard to do when you're playing, 75, 80 plays a game. That's not an easy thing to do, and especially when your offense is not giving you any help. But it's a tough situation.
Raven Alder says, will we ever stretch the field with the passing game, but only after some bubble routes to loosen up the defense?
Well, we talked about that. Maybe you could go to your short passing game. You got a freshman quarterback, and you got to help him as much as you can. And a lot of times, if you go to your short passing game, it lets him and the receivers establish some type of rhythm. And we saw that in spots today, but not enough that it made a big difference.
I think you addressed Ethel's comment in terms of maybe the lack of a receiving core, and maybe to your point, maybe not being on the same page. Earl says, young man is just a freshman. Give him time to develop and grow. Can we just have some patience? Billy says we've got to give Hooker a chance.
I've heard, I guess they're talking about the kid from Dudley, Austin Hooker.
Mm-hmm.
Ragsdale.
He's Ragsdale, sorry. His dad was a big-time player here at A&T, and right now it looks as though he's running. He's on the number 4 on the depth chart, and coach's decision, I assume.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We're not Jaeger, if Jaeger. But I mean, I don't know. I think this was a one-off because we had been so, KJ, even though he didn't have a good game today, maybe he hasn't had some great games. That one pass, we hadn't really seen that from him where he just throws it in the middle of the field. Because I think you got to go back to him. You go to Hampton where he's at home again. The last time he had success was in the Tidewater. You go back to him, simplify things a little bit, and let him get ready to rock and roll at Hampton.
He has played some good games for A&T, and last couple of games, even though we lost, he didn't do anything to really hurt us. And but as we said times before, Donald, anytime you're dealing with a freshman, I mean, it varies from week to week, and you never know really what you're going to get. And of course, unfortunately, he made a couple of really bad plays today at really bad times that really hurt the offense. But it's a decision that the coaching staff is going to have to, make. What do you do? Do you go back and with him, or do you reach further down your depth chart and try to stick somebody in there? So tough choice for the coaches.
Anthony says, guys, we are spoiled, not far removed from championships. It's just hard for me to believe we are now talking about rebuilding our program. Again, fundamentals, discipline, bottom line, strong coaching, Aggie pride.
He has a good point. But Donald, I was thinking about this. I think sooner or later, as you come around and around, sometimes you're gonna run into some times when your football team is just not having a bad year. If you remember, Fobbs came here and we went 1-22, something like that. And then Broadway came in and he reminded me. He said, "You better get me now." He was 5-6. Then the next year he was 8-3, and then we know what happened after that. So sometimes it revolves around you. You're not going to be on top all the time. And of course, we were playing in a different league, but this league now here is very, very tough, and we're going to have to do a good deal of recruiting and get some larger football players in here in order to compete in the CAA. We haven't gone up north yet and seen some of the teams that they have up north. And I looked at the programs up north, and they have some large football players. I mean, huge. And we're just gonna have to, do a little better in the recruiting area, and I think we'll be okay.
But you hit the nail on the head, Billy. I mean, this is a tough situation for A&T as a football program to find itself in. You go into a new conference.
Mm-hmm.
You got a new coach, and I mean, this is really not easy. And as you mentioned, we're playing some teams in this CAA. I mean, the quality of football is really good. And Coach Brown has mentioned on numerous occasions the kind of players that he wants to get in here into A&T in order to be able to compete, and it's just going to take time.
All right, we've got a couple of more comments. Hans says the Aggie faithful have to exercise patience, that and understand that sometimes it ain't always about the X's and O's, but rather it's the Jims and the Joes. And Swannell says that play came off a major hit, and White has the talent and ability to do his job. We need more synergy. I believe in our Aggies. So you're getting, some support, some are a little more impatient than others, and you're getting a mixed bag. But again, as I mentioned prior to the Norfolk State game, it's an opportunity to get a win. This is another opportunity for A&T to get not only a win, but a conference win at Hampton, who has struggled the last couple of weeks.
I mean, Hampton is, getting back to Kevin White. I'm like you, Donald. I'm not ready to give up on White. I mean, he's shown that he has the ability to make plays. Of course, he's just a freshman, and he's going to make freshman mistakes. And a lot of times when you are playing a freshman, you just have to live with that. But you also hope that you can make up for that in other areas. And we got to do, when I say we, the Aggies have got to do some things to help him out. And you mentioned it, simplify it a little bit, and just give him some throws that he can make, and that will build his confidence and build the confidence of the receivers. And we saw it happen in spurts today. But, it didn't happen over the long haul. And so going to Hampton next week, this is a good opportunity. And but like you mentioned, we don't know what to expect from Hampton because they're up and down. So, but it's a big opportunity for A&T to get a win.
Well, they're down now. They're behind Delaware 41-3 late in the third quarter. And, of course, Mammoth is coming back on Elon. It's 21-12 in favor of Elon in that game.
And what's interesting, I know you can't compare games, and
No.
It was a little bit different in Delaware last week because of the rain. But A&T, 21-6 against a top 10 team. Hampton's getting blown out. Now, I got it. It doesn't equate. But again, I think it's another opportunity for A&T to put it all together and come away from Hampton and spoil Hampton's homecoming.
No, I agree. All you can do is take the comparison as it is. And last week against Delaware, the Blue Hens had 14 points at halftime. And, of course, Aggie defense only gave up that one touchdown in the second half. And here they are today blowing out Hampton. And so hopefully, as we said earlier, the coaching staff can stay enthusiastic and find some positive things to build on and try to go into Hampton next week with a good game plan.
Before we wrap it up, you can type your comment or question in the chat. We will address it. All you have to do is type it, your comment or question in the chat, and we will address it here on the Blue and Gold post-game show presented by Ledo Pizza of Kernersville. So what has to be different next week against the Pirates?
Well, I think it's the same old story, Don. We have to be able to score some points. We can talk about defense, we can talk about special teams, but if we can't put some points on the board, if we cannot generate we have got to find a way to generate some type of offense. And I think you do that, as you mentioned, you got to simplify things for this young quarterback, give him some simple plays, some things that are going to enhance his confidence and try to build on that. And so, but it's a tough call. It really is, but I'm not ready to give up on White yet. He's shown that he's had he has the ability, but he's just inexperienced and he's young and, give him an opportunity and simplify things and go from there and still rely on that defense. The defense is playing well, and hopefully we can see an example of that next week up in Delaware. Up at Hampton.
Billy, you got the last word.
My last word is for all the Aggie fans, just please be patient. We're in a situation that we have not been in a very long time, and it shows. So, the coach is going to have to come up with a couple of years of good recruiting and change some things around, and I think we'll be okay in the future. It's all not on White. We got receivers that's not catching the ball. We got offensive lineman who's not blocking and he's getting sacked. So it's a total team effort that we are playing the way we are right now. But we just got to go back to the bullpen and try it again next week when you go up the road to Hampton. And it's going to be a tough one for Hampton because Hampton plays very well at home, and they also this is homecoming for them. So we'll see what happens. Aggie pride.
Absolutely. You said it, and Jeff and Swannell have the last word on the chat as they both say Aggie pride.
Yep.
Fortunately for A&T today, falling 33-10 to Richmond, but another opportunity for A&T on next week. We got a 2:00 kickoff, right, fellas?
2:00. Yeah.
2:00 kickoff on next week. We hope to see you in Hampton at Armstrong Field. If not, we'll have the pregame show beginning at 1:30 on the Aggie Sports Radio Network, around the world at tobaccoroadsportsradio.com, here in the Triad on 103.5 FM, 1400 AM, The Light, as well as on Sirius XM and the Sirius XM app. Thank you to my man Des back at the studios of the Aggie Sports Radio Network for all of his outstanding work. For Al Swann and Billy Covington, Donal Ware saying so long for now from Truist Stadium on the campus of North Carolina A&T State University. Your final score, Richmond 33, North Carolina A&T 10. You've been listening to and watching Aggie football on the Aggie Sports Radio Network.